Hey, push students, Mr. Narimatsu, with our activity on American society to temperance and women's rights. So this is actually been kind of a quick screencast here. Just a little reminder, since we're at the beginning of the class here, please make sure that you have logged into AP Classroom and also signed up and registered for the test. A number of you guys have, but some of you guys have not. So if you guys could do that, I'd appreciate it. So just a little reminder, and for those that have already done so, I really appreciate it. But like I was saying, this can be a little bit of a quicker screencast than we've had in the past. Kind of light on the topics and the details of the topics, to be quite honest. So we'll get into it here. So it's going to be really focused on two things: temperance and women's rights. And the word temperance really is to like limit alcohol. It's going to be different than prohibition, which is an outright ban. Although during this time, some states do actually move towards prohibition. Not a federal level. We will get a federal amendment that will actually ban alcohol for the entire United States. At this time, individual states are doing it largely for religious and also for economic reasons, especially with the market revolution and the factory and wage system going on. You just can't have people come to work drunk, right? They're not efficient. They can be a hazard to themselves in the workplace. So not good. And on the religious side, also there was multiple individuals calling for it because they thought it brought a lot of social ills. Gambling, poverty, abuse, domestic abuse especially, would be happening due to what they would consider the ills of alcoholism. So, just as a heads up, I remember hearing this and these are these kind of quotes and these facts that you don't necessarily always hear. I don't know. There's a lot of cards, I guess, tarot cards on temperance. Very interesting. But supposedly at this time, again, we're largely farmers at this time, and they've been drinking a thing called moonshine, which is where they just kind of get their own homemade alcohol. And this is actually going back to period 3 and during George Washington. Remember, there's a whiskey rebellion because there's a whiskey tax. And when they call it whiskey, they're actually talking about this type of like moonshine. They would take extra grain and turn it into alcohol. But anyways, getting my point, supposedly like they were drinking like a gallon of this a week or something. I mean, just like pretty gnarly amounts of, sorry, gnarly is not a historical term, pretty extreme amounts of alcohol being drunk at that time. So multiple reasons we're going to try to temper. That means limit the consumption. Obviously some people want probably complete ban of alcohol and complete total prohibition of it. But this one is temperance, which you say just keep it down. Like let's lower it down a bit. So anyways, one of the proponents of that is going to be Lyman Beecher. He's going to show up. He was part of the Second Great Awakening, I'm sure that you guys read or got into. He's also advocating this from a religious point of view. And just kind of interesting, this name, Lyman Beecher. Lyman Beecher also is going to go and have a daughter, and the daughter is Harriet Beecher Stowe. And Harriet Beecher Stowe will write a very famous novel called Uncle Tom's Cabin, a novel being fake, right? This is not to get confused with Harriet Tubman. A lot of students confuse those two Harriets, right? Harriet Tubman was a freed slave that continued to work with people in the Underground Railroad. But Harriet Beecher Stowe is the daughter of Lyman Beecher, educated, and writes a novel called Uncle Tom's Cabin, which really pushes the abolition movement. So you're really seeing the Second Great Awakening really kind of fidget two kind of movements, kind of get them going. And you can see the abolition movement becoming obviously much stronger to end slavery, thinking that this is a moral, religious, and political crime. And then also, I just kind of lost my train of thought. Anyway, so we had those things, and I apologize about that. Maybe it'll come back to me. I have those kind of moments, so I haven't one in real life here. But anyways, Harriet Beecher Stowe. Oh, sorry. So the two ones being abolition, obviously temperance, going back to it. So there it is. It came back. Knew it would. Lastly, you're going to read a short article about, women's rights at this time. A lot of you guys have heard of the Seneca Falls Convention, which is in, I believe, upstate New York. Women gathered there and had a convention advocating for their political rights, largely looking at suffrage, the right to vote, which you guys know, Another word that you might see is the enfranchisement, which is usually gaining the right to vote. That's what that word means? So if you're disenfranchised, you have lost the right to vote. Which a lot of women, again, just to remind you, because of Andrew Jackson and the change to only adult white males, but eliminating the property requirement, there were many women who owned property and therefore could vote. So again, definitely did get disenfranchised in the 1820s as more and more states moved to adult white male voting being allowed. However, and no property requirement, but kind of disenfranchising those that had property, such as women and also, people of color that did own property at that time. They're going to advocate for the rights. You're going to hear something about the Declaration of, I think, Rights of Sentiments, which is going to sound exactly like the Declaration of Independence. And it's kind of going a little jab at men going, hey, you guys wrote this document, and yet that document does apply to us as women as well. You may be asking yourself, what happened, right? Why did this go down? A lot of the women, the North, especially where this is kind of taking place, a lot of the women are going to redirect all of their efforts and energy towards the Civil War and towards abolition. So this is going to take a little bit of historians kind of say that it just kind of takes a little bit of a back burner. It's an issue that's still important, but, a Civil War and secession just kind of overtakes it. And, I guess you could at a certain level see that with some of the issues that we face, like currently this pandemic is kind of what we're all focused on right now. And there's other issues that are still popping up, but maybe they're not getting the attention that they would normally because of this. And that's kind of what's happening to women at this time and women's rights is it's going to take a back burner. When the Civil War ends, there's going to be a fervorish push. And just to let you know, in this story, this is, I think, the 1830s or so. So we are definitely taking a long time to get there. But women will get the right to vote in 1819. And you guys have just celebrated your 100th, the centennial anniversary of women's right to vote. So that's what our activity is. We're wrapping up period 4, period 4, which starts with the Democratic Republicans, a little bit of French and British issues, the War of 1812, moving into the age of Andrew Jackson, and then the social movements that are happening in the 1800s, from the Second Great Awakening to temperance to women's rights. Hopefully you kind of have an idea of what period 4 is all about. We're wrapping this up. We're getting close to period 5, which will be a little bit about us expanding further west, manifest destiny, and then as we gain more and more territory, the issue of slavery cannot be compromised, and there's going to be, obviously, we're going to lead up to the Civil War. Okay, so again, short one today. Maybe some of you guys are like, that wasn't so short, but anyways, trying to help you guys out. Hope to see you guys on the Zooms classes that we're having. Also, some of the tutorials that we are providing. So please check those out, and we'll see you then. All right, A pushers, take care. Have a good one. Bye.